everyone, Felice Gerwitz here, and I want to share with you something that is dear to my heart, and that is saving you money. Can you use encouragement for your homeschool journey? Have you been searching for an online learning program designed to ground your family in a Christian worldview? Well, now you can at MediaAngelsMembership.com. Our affordable membership packages fit your budget and busy life. Now you can access customized membership packages for your homeschooling family from the extensive Media Angels library of books, classes, and Bible studies. You may select the ebook bundle, the creation bundle, the premium bundle, or the forever bundle. Each bundled set will save you vast amounts of money. Our packages begin at less than $10, and you can use it for the whole family. So go to MediaAngelsMembership.com for more information. That's MediaAngelsMembership.com. You'll be glad you did.
This is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network. Welcome to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Your host, Felice Gerwitz, is an author, a publisher, and your radio show host. She will encourage, educate, and inspire you with answers to your most pressing questions, from homeschool, marriage, parenting, and much more. Felice loves to equip moms to live a Christian life because every moment counts. Be sure to visit her website at MediaAngels.com. And here's your host, Felice Gerwitz.
Today we are going to talk about virtual field trips. This is episode 376. You can find the show notes at VintageHomeschoolMoms.com. Welcome everyone. This is Felice Gerwitz, and I love field trips, which is why this entire month has been devoted to field trips. And so I'm excited about that, and you can find more episodes on my podcast. Well, I love field trips, and especially ones that are money savers. And what could be more money saving than a virtual field trip? Then that fits into both categories. Field trips happen in the comfort of your own home, but I'm going to warn you, it does take a little bit of planning. Thanks to our sponsor, Media Angels Membership, with the virtual field trip study guide that is available as part of the basic membership. So check it out. Years ago, I wrote a book on the topic, which is available on my membership site, but also some of the ideas in the book were invaluable for years and years to come. And when I wrote this book, there were a lot of different search engines. In fact, Google was not even a search engine back there. There were things like Yahoo, there was Alta Vista, I can't even remember all the other ones that were out there, but Ask.com was one of them. And so there are so many different search engines now as well. And so when I wrote this book, the internet was brand new. People were just starting to use it for education. And there was a lot of fear as far as, spending money online, because was it secure or not? And now we know with all the hacking, it is somewhat secure, but you can't always be too sure. And then also, how are we going to follow up with what we learn? Because a lot of times it was just click, 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 and you were on a different website, or you were somewhere you didn't want to be. I had a virtual field trips website at one time too, and what turned out that happened, and something I could not control, is that what had been a safe website was no longer safe. So you really have to do your homework, parents. You have the safe settings, which I have to say are greatly improved over where they used to be. So that's a good thing. So know internet safety. Know what internet browser you're using, and make sure all of the safe settings are set. A lot of times that is not easy. You have to go into more or other, or, do a search on how to set those settings. And that's frustrating for me. And also check out the website first before you bring your kids there. A couple of the things that I found were really great, like, for example, Google Earth is something that is still widely used. When it first came out, it was just revolutionary. You could go to do a really quick search and find yourself in Rome, or you could go to Venice, or you could go to France or Africa, and really look at some of the things that, someone in those countries would see. But you could also go to places that are in the United States. You could go to places like the Grand Canyon, or go out to California and the beaches or the mountains, and go to Alaska. So these are things that are helpful, and you can do a lot of things with the kids, like studying, the world map and actually charting places that you visited. Having a little background information can go a long way into preparing them for the learning experience. And an exciting feature is that you never know what they're actually going to learn. There's so much information available, which is why I always say do some pre-research. And I have some forms that are available on the website at Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network in the month of October. So if you are a subscriber and you stay subscribed, each month you're going to get some brand new planner or freebie or something that we are putting out. So if you are in the month of October, you will be blessed by this month's planner. If you are a subscriber, also these are available afterwards on the Media Angels membership website. So each virtual field trip works a little bit different than in-person trips. And I use online trips as a way to encourage my kids, and it's like they're action adventure seekers. I would find questions that would be more like a scavenger hunt of something that they would have to find, and so it would encourage them to think. So, they would ask questions, they would gather the answers, and then we would dig deeper for more information. So what is the best way to find virtual field trips? And that is with keywords. You guys are all very familiar with keywords from internet searches. And as we all know, the internet is very transient. So something that might be there is going to be gone or temporarily out of order. So if you are doing a field trip search, I would have a couple of different websites that you might want to look at. Most of the bigger ones are going to be there, so you could just stick with things like the National Zoo or the Smithsonian, things like that. So just be, prepared that you might have to switch gears. And this is the reason that most of you have a working knowledge of researching on the internet. And it also helps you to, be there with your kids. And whenever I would search things, I would look for like kids safe or, kid friendly for the website. And that helped a lot. So there were 4 things that I did when I was looking at the website. I would do an overview of what we were going to learn. I would have goals and objectives of what I wanted the kids to learn. I would have additional research that I would want them to do, whether it was following up with some paragraphs of what they learned or, checking a book out of the library, remember the library, or even looking something up in a book that you have at home. So that would be, something to follow up with. And then also having a little bit of a navigation and site plan that you would want the kids to go to. So, for example, they could start at the home page and then maybe go to the drop-down menu and look for animals. If you were on maybe the zoo page or something like that, you might have them look at some of the movies of the animals. You might have them, go to somewhere specific. Sometimes on the site itself, it may have something that is new information or something worth looking at. And, by clicking on a picture, you can also be transported to another place. One of the ways to keep from getting lost on a specific website is always go back to the home page. You can hit return with the return arrow or go use their toolbar, which is normally at the top of the screen. Sometimes they have the long websites that scroll down. Most of the websites that you probably will be visiting won't have those kind of cool websites where you scroll down and they kind of fold on each other. But if that happens, you can always scroll up and then use that back arrow, and that helps because I remember clicking around and then just getting totally lost. If the return arrow, doesn't work, you can always go back to the home page, and that will help. And so you can create kind of like, step-by-step little lesson plans for the kids of where you want them to go, and then give them scavenger hunt questions. This can be really fun. These are questions that, are going to be building a framework around information that you want them to learn. For example, if they're little, you're going to say things like, what is the largest animal at the zoo? Or what animal only eats plants? Or what animal only eats meat? Things like that. You can do geographic location for the animals. As they get older, what animals only come from Africa or Asia, or something that would, cause them to look some more, right? And the answers can be found on the specific website you've selected, or you could give them scavenger hunt questions if you have a really good, safe browser, and they could just search for those. Again, this is not something I would just let them do on their own. I would be there with them. After visiting the site, you can have additional activities that will follow it up. For example, they could do a diorama of something in a shoebox. They can do a little book. We had books that we used for like in-person field trips, but you could do that with a virtual one as well. Also, writing a paper, drawing a picture, whatever that is going to kind of cement that information. Sometimes I would have extra materials available for them to look at. Sometimes I had things printed that I wanted them to do. And again, all of this is optional. But for me to spend all of that time online and then not have anything to show for it was not an option. And that's just the, teacher mommy in me that comes out. I just really wanted to have something tangible that I could look at and my kids could look at and say, yes, we did this and we learned something doing it. And a focal point of a virtual field trip can be subject related. I would look for trips that would be entertaining but educational, and maybe not require a whole lot of reading ahead of time, or just enough to get them there, get their interest piqued and then go on. Some suggestions I had, especially if there's a lot of reading that the kids have to do on a website, is to let them take turns. Also, you can read to them. Remember, if you're looking at information and you're just going to copy things on a website, that there are copyright laws. You need to, look at those. Maybe you can use them for your own personal use, but you just can't share them around with other parents. They would have to do it on their own. So going on a virtual field trip, you're going to decide what kind of trip you're going to take. You're going to have your printer ready to go, and you may want to print out some information ahead of time or have it saved on your computer so that the kids can look at it and read it. Some sites are super advanced, some not so much. Some have protection so you can't copy anything. Others allow you to. So again, it depends on the sites you're visiting. And best of all, there is no one way or right way to visit a website. It really depends on you. Here are some of my favorite topics. Oceans, the zoo. We did a really great study with email and internet, just learning how to research effectively. Famous people, like, for example, we did a field trip with Benjamin Franklin because there's so much information about him. You can use any famous person and just look at the keywords I gave you in the show notes. I have keywords in the show notes for each one of these, and also things like space, constellation, and planet keywords. Again, whatever it is you do some kind of follow-up, have some kind of record for it so that you will be able to say, yes, we spent the time doing it, but it was not only fun, but we learned a lot. And here's the information that we can point to and say, yeah, here it is. And we have something to show for it. For all of the show notes for today's episode, visit vintagehomeschoolmoms.com. Look for Virtual Field Trips episode 376. And if you want the book, head over to the Media Angels membership. That first tier on the Media Angels membership has the Virtual Field Trips book in it. Take care, God bless, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Visit Felice at MediaAngels.com and thevintagehomeschoolmoms.com. Vintage Homeschool Moms is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network.